Good. Good to see you. I think we're going to play you right up here. All right. Prior to our starting this evening's meeting, we've got a very special presentation, and here to do that is Brett Hodney, and this is from the Iowa chapter, American Public Works Association, and we're going to talk about projects. I'm going to turn it right over to you, Brett, and anybody that's associated with this. Pat, if you'd have everybody come up, let's get all of our folks that are going to participate in this to come forward at this time. And we're going to, let's all get around, kind of, we'll circle around here, because the camera's like right in front of us here. Tighten up, guys, tighten up. You want anybody
Well, good evening. It gives me great pleasure as a representative of the American Public Works Association to be here tonight. On top of getting this award, the City of Des Moines Public Works Department has done a lot for the APWA organization, providing leadership, staff time, helping with direction, and on top of that, it's really nice to be able to recognize their accomplishments with this very important award, the Public Works Project of the Year for the state of Iowa. The plaque reads, the American Public Works Association, Iowa Chapter, presents the Project of the Year Award for the Environmental Award of $5 million to $25 million projects to the City of Des Moines for the Jackson Basin Stormwater Pumping Station. And this was recently presented at the state APWA conference. So our congratulations goes off to the City of Des Moines for this award.
Thank you very, very much.
As part of this project too, we also have the contractor and the consulting engineer. So next of all, I'm going to read off the plaque that's going to the consulting engineer. Once again, the Iowa chapter of the American Public Works Association presents the Project of the Year Award, Environmental, the $5 million to $25 million project range, to Howard R. Green Incorporated for the Jackson Basin Stormwater Pumping Station. And the last project award goes to the contractor for this, Rice Lake Construction. The Iowa Chapter American Public Works Association presents the Project of the Year Award, Environmental, $5 million to $25 million, to Rice Lake Construction Group for the Jackson Basin Stormwater Pumping Station.
I'm going to give you this, and let's get everybody kind of tightened up. I'll get the microphone out of the way, and we'll get a photograph of the whole group here together. All right? Bill, you guys going to come up and be part of this, Pat? Come on.
Thank you.
Have to get farther back, a little. You're going to sit down. Now let's make sure we get all the flags in the middle. All right, we're set.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. Let's all give them a great hand. All right, we're going to start our council meeting almost immediately. member, Halley Greiss. Those who would like to participate with us, we would ask you to stand at this time, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to break with my tradition slightly today. Just in remembrance of 9/11 and what happened yesterday, I came across a transcript of the President's speech on the National Day of Prayer 3 days following the September 11th attacks. The date's September 14th of 2001. We are here in the middle hour of our grief. So many have suffered so great a loss, and today we express our nation's sorrow. We come before God to pray for the missing and the dead, and for those who loved them. On Tuesday, our country was attacked with deliberate and massive cruelty. We have seen the images of fire and ashes and bent steel. Now come the names, the list of casualties. We are only beginning. They are the names of men and women who began their day at a desk or in an airport, busy with life. They are the names of people who faced death and in their last moments called home to say, "Be brave, and I love you." They are the names of passengers who defied their murderers and prevented the murder of others on the ground. They are the names of men and women who wore the uniform of the United States and died at their posts. They are the names of rescuers, the ones whom death found running up the stairs and into the fires to help others. We will read all these names. We will linger over them and learn their stories, and many Americans will weep. To the children and parents and spouses and families and friends of the lost, we offer the deepest sympathy of the nation, and I assure you, you are not alone. This nation is peaceful, but fierce when stirred to anger. This conflict was begun on the timing and terms of others. It will end in a way and at an hour of our choosing. Our purpose as a nation is firm, yet our wounds as a people are recent and unhealed and lead us to pray. In many of our prayers this week, there's a searching and an honesty. At St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, on Tuesday, a woman said, "I pray to God to give us a sign that He's still here." Others have prayed for the same, searching hospital to hospital, carrying pictures of those still missing. There are prayers that help us through the day or endure the night. There are prayers of friends and strangers that give us strength for the journey, and there are prayers that yield our will to a will greater than our own. This world He created is of moral design. Grief and tragedy and hatred are only for a time. Goodness, remembrance, and love have no end, and the Lord of life holds all who die and all who mourn. It is said that adversity introduces us to ourselves. This is true of a nation as well. In this trial, we have been reminded, and the world has seen, that our fellow Americans are generous and kind, resourceful and brave. Today we feel what Franklin Roosevelt called the warm courage of national unity. This is a unity of every faith and every background. This has joined together political parties and both houses of Congress. It is evident in services of prayer and candlelight vigils and American flags, which are displayed in pride and waved in defiance. Our unity is a kinship of grief and a steadfast resolve to prevail against our enemies. And this unity against terror is now extending across the world. America is a nation full of good fortune, with so much to be grateful for. But we are not spared from suffering. In every generation, the world has produced enemies of human freedom. They have attacked America because we are freedom's home and defender. And the commitment of our fathers is now the calling of our time. On this National Day of Prayer and Remembrance, we ask Almighty God to watch over our nation and grant us patience and resolve in all that is to come. We pray that He will comfort and console those who now walk in sorrow. We thank Him for each life we must now mourn and the promise of a life to come. And we've been assured neither death nor life, nor angels nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth can separate us from God's love. May He bless the souls of the departed. May He comfort our own. And may He always guide our country. God bless America.
All right, I'll ask the clerk to take roll, please.
County.
Here.
Coleman. Here. Moore. Greiss. Mahaffey. Here. Hensley. Here. Meyer. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, item 2 is approving the agenda as presented and or as amended. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Items passed. Item 3 is approving the consent agenda tonight. Those are items 3 through 37. These are routine items and will be enacted as one roll call unless somebody from the audience or one of our council members chooses to pull one of these off for further consideration or clarification. Tonight, Councilmember Moore is going to pull items 5 and 6, and item 16, Councilmember Mahaffey has asked to be pulled, and they're both going to speak on those items. Are there any other items? Anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. There's a request for item 21. 21 has been withdrawn. Still would like to speak on it? Okay, any other items? Hearing none, could we have a motion?
Move.
It's been moved.
Aye.
Seven yes.
All right, we'll start out with item number 5. Item 5 is public improvements. 5 is ordering the construction of public works, a supply yard storage building, receiving bids 9/27/11, setting the date of hearing of 10/10/11, and the construction estimate is $600,000. This is Council Communication number 11-587. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I asked the director just to give us a brief explanation of what this is and how important for several different reasons it is for the residents. After all, it's not just a $600,000 storage building.
Mayor, County, members of the Council, Bill Stowe, Public Works. Mr. Moore, thank you for the heads up on your decision to pull this item from the consent agenda. You, among other things, asked me to address why are we spending $600,000. This is a structure, as you can see in the background, being demolitioned, being taken down as part of the Coleman project on the southeast side of Des Moines. This is formerly a building that was used by Public Works for the types of uses that we are now asking in the item 5 before you tonight be constructed at a different location with a better enclosure. But essentially what's happening here is Coleman Industries is moving to the north. Part of the Public Works facilities formerly located just to the north of Scott Avenue in Des Moines had to be relocated. That relocation will occur closer to the Des Moines River, about 3 blocks southeast of the location that we're talking about, a location that Mr. Meyer knows well as someone who's seen this location on several different occasions. Essentially, we're building a $600,000 enclosed facility to put pumps, sandbagging operations, a number of things that are vitally important to us in relief works in an enclosed facility. As the city manager queried us during the process of getting this item to you, this will certainly enhance value of the property itself. This $600,000 building that will be added is relatively generic in makeup in an industrial commercial setting, and we believe will provide great life and use to us. Part of our relocation to this area, frankly, involves a fairly indeterminate number of years. We'll be moving from the facility you see pictured here to an area, again, immediately south and southeast for what looks to be a minimum of 10 years. This would coincide with phase 2 of the project that's been discussed with you for the Municipal Service Center, but that particular date for phase 2 construction, where we would then move to, is reliant on Southeast Connector work and some other economic development work in the area. So we're looking at being at the location that's being requested in the item before you, item 5, for a minimum of 10 years, again, a $60,000 straight amortization of that value, in our view, seems very reasonable when weighed against the value of the materials and the uses of the materials that will be enclosed in the $600,000 facility that we're asking be constructed. be happy to answer any of the questions you might have.
Any questions, Mr. Moore?
No, that answers my question. I hope the residents fully understand it. I will move 5.
Yes.
Seven yes.
All right, the second item is item 6, which is approving the professional services agreement with Ames Environmental, Inc. for asbestos testing and monitoring services for the Country Estates Village Mobile Home Park, not to exceed $74,800. Council Communication number 11-589. And again, Mr. Moore.
Had a lot of comments from the people that live in the 4-mile corridor and Sheridan Gardens and Douglas Acres neighborhood about what's happening with that trailer park, especially since fires, and you can't go far enough to explain to them that there's a process. And I asked Jeb Brewer, the Director of Engineering, if he could just give us a brief rundown of what the process is and where we're at in that process and what we can expect on the removal of the trailers.
Mayor, members of council, Jeb Brewer, city engineer. The item before council tonight is a professional services in order to do investigative work for asbestos and monitoring services. In order to purchase and demolish these structures, must follow all the appropriate regulations and environmental concerns, and part of that is the asbestos. As Councilman Moore mentioned, in this area we had 2 trailer parks, the Baker one which has been purchased and demolished. This one is the Country Estates, and the current status of that is we do have a signed agreement, but we haven't actually closed on the property yet. There's a few items that need to be taken care of by the property owner. In the typical order of process, as we go through each step, we need approval and through the state, since this is a CDBG funded. Here we're actually on Country Estates come up with a process to try to accelerate the demolition of the mobile homes over what would have been a traditional process. Traditionally, you would have to buy the property first, then you have to enter into contracts with the individual owners of the mobile homes, and then go ahead and demolish those. In this instance, we've been working with the state to try to accelerate that process, and the goal is to be able to demolish the mobile homes under emergency nuisance program. That still means people will still get their appropriate. It won't impact the monies that anybody receives, or it won't jeopardize the funding. But we had to get that process first approved through the state, which means we should be able to get those mobile homes down by the end of the year. All offers have been made to all the mobile home individual owners, and it just takes a while for those people to come and get their accounts settled so that we can make the appropriate payments. So. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a call from the property owner last week, and you say there's some things that has to be resolved before we can take title. If you can give me some of those, not tonight, but if you can get it to me, I'll give him a call back.
Sure.
And this is only for monitoring and testing, not for removal of asbestos?
Yeah, this is not the actual removal. Those would be a separate contract. Essentially, we have to go and test to see if there is asbestos, and if there is, and this is the third-party monitoring. There'd be a separate contract to remove any asbestos that was found, and a contract to demolish the homes, and that's in order to comply with IDNR regulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Lillis?
William Lillis, 317 6th Avenue, Suite 300, appearing. We happen to represent Country Estates, so what Mr. Mahaffey, we're most anxious from the property owner's standpoint also to settle it. There's been so many issues with the state funding, all the things that your engineers told you we concur with and so forth. So we're anxious to get it done, but the process is draconian. Is that a good way to say it? And it's been difficult, but we're working to get it closed and demolish those homes as soon as possible.
Well, we're glad the state stepped in, because when FEMA decided not to fund it, or withdrew their funds, we still had to have another plan to take care of that.
Yeah, we're very aware of it, and we understand the concerns of the council, and we're working with the legal department and with Jeb's office to see if we can accelerate getting that done.
Good. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Jeb, you and your staff are be commended on this. I think that we're moving along quite rapidly compared to what some other cities have done in flood situations. So I will move item 6.
Mr. Manager?
I just want to, I appreciate those comments, Mr. Moore, and the engineering department and CD both have done a great job of moving this very complicated undertaking. I know from the citizen standpoint, it looks like it's taking forever, but they have a very complicated process and they've worked very hard, and I'm pleased that they have done everything they can within their powers to move this along. So I do appreciate your comments, Skip. Thank you.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
7 yes.
Takes us to item 16. Item 16 is acceptance of real estate documents from Basim and Misty Al-Bakri for the voluntary acquisition of 2836th Avenue, Council Communication number 11-591.
Yeah, this is was Jim Dandy's Tavern. It's been empty for a number of years. They lost their rights to maintain that. And this is something that the Highland Park, Oak Park area has been wanting to get rid of. It's an eyesore over there on the corner of 6th and Corning. I know the legal address is 2830 6th Avenue, but I want to compliment StaffNet for going forward and getting this done, because it really has been a long time coming, and I appreciate all their efforts, and I will move this item.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, there's been a request to speak on item 21, which was withdrawn. It was on the vacation and conveyance of a segment of an alley right-of-way in the block on Vine and Water Street. Mr. Lillis.
I'm going to withdraw my request, Mr. Mayor. William Lillis, 317 6th Avenue, Suite 300. I talked with the manager briefly this afternoon. We weren't aware that 21 was taken off the agenda. We have other issues, as you know, Mr. Mayor, and I think Ms. Hensley and Mr. Coleman, that has to do with the Hampton Inn, and we're most interested to proceed on. So saying all of that, the vacation of this alley is very key to the development of that parcel of property. I think the manager has somewhat assured me that we can bring all these items at one time. So procedurally, I don't see any downside, but apparently they want to bring it back at a different time. So I'll withdraw my request. Sounds like it's off the agenda anyway, which I wish I would have known before this afternoon.
Thank you. We'll do better on that. The manager also assured me as well that time frame, and that we should be able to meet the time frame goals of you and your client.
Receive and file.
I'll move to receive and file.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, that completes the consent agenda, which was through 37. 38 is a communication from Ned Chido of 345 East Gray Street to speak regarding his sidewalk being connected to Southeast 5th Street and Indianola Road under the High Priority Sidewalk Program. Mr. Chido.
Ned Chido, 345 East Gray. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. 35 years ago, I built my home, and at that time, the City of Des Moines required me to put a sidewalk in mid-block. I've waited 35 years for that sidewalk to go someplace. It has not. And under this new sidewalk high priority, as it was presented in the paper, I think my sidewalk falls under most all but one of the criteria. A couple things I wanted to point out for your consideration. What I'm asking for tonight is a council consideration of the high priority program. In our area, we have children that attend Lincoln, Howell, McKinley, St. Anthony's, and in the wintertime, they're forced to be in the street, which is dangerous. Also, people in the neighborhood frequently walk at night, and a sidewalk would be very valuable. I've requested over the years from the engineering department permission to take my walk out so my property is in compliance with the rest of the street. The engineering department on 2 occasions has said the sidewalk has to stay. We're close to the community center. The sidewalk would connect us. The sidewalk would connect us with the bus line and the business areas on Indianola Road. In fact, I've spoken to my councilman, Mr. Myers. He's aware of the situation, and I believe he's been out to take a look at it. I would appreciate your consideration.
All right. Thank you. Stephen Butler.
Yeah, Ned, thanks for the information and bringing this to us. What we need to do is go through an evaluation process. So what I'm going to do is ask for a recommendation from the city manager, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
And maybe bring it back in a month or so. And so we can take a look at what we can do over there. Maybe there's a couple of different things we could do. But so the motion will be to refer it to the city manager and engineering for a recommendation in no later than mid-October, whatever the council meeting is. Is that okay, Ned?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ned.
Thank you.
I'll move.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
7 yes.
We have one additional item. We'll skip to that right now. This is to set a date of hearing on the intent to transfer City of Des Moines aviation facilities to the Des Moines Airport Authority at our meeting on October 10th of 2011, and I sponsored it. Are there any questions or comments from anybody, either council or in the audience?
I'll move.
Item's been moved.
Seven yes.
All right. Now, my satellite time shows us that we're at 5 o'clock. So we will open our hearings. Item 39 is on the appeal from Kevin Neuwirth of 2920 Kinsey Avenue regarding administrative hearing officer's decision on an impounded vehicle. Is Mr. Neuwirth in the audience this evening?
I'll move to receive and file.
Item's been moved to receive and file.
And uphold.
Yes.
And uphold the decision?
I'm sorry, and to uphold the decision.
Okay, Mr. Coleman?
7 yes.
All right. Item 40, which is on the conveyance of 917 Southeast Allen Street to Robert L. Kahn for $1,000. Council Communication number 11-586. Anyone in the audience to speak on this item?
I'll move.
Item's been moved.
Yes.
Seven yes.
Item 41, on the request from the Neighborhood Development Corporation to rezone 1938 Southeast 6th Street from limited C1A, neighborhood commercial reuse, to limited NPC, neighborhood pedestrian commercial, subject to conditions. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the applicant, requires 6 votes. Is there anyone in the audience to speak on 41A or B?
Heidi or Nadine? This is a great project, and everybody's familiar with the area. It's right across from B&B. I serve on the Neighborhood Development Corporation Board, and we've been working on this for a long time, and this is really going to change the dynamic down there, and it's going to be a nice new building, mixed use. So I'll move 41 if no questions.
41 A and B.
A and B.
Yes.
Seven yes.
Item 42 on the proposed zoning ordinance text amendment to Chapter 134 with regard to businesses selling liquor, wine, beer, and tobacco. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above. B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the Community Development Department and requires 6 votes. And C is an alternate resolution to extend the temporary moratoriums until October 25th, 2011 on the establishment of any freestanding liquor stores in C3, C3A, C3B, C3R districts, and the establishment of any businesses engaged in the sale of alcoholic beverages for off-premises consumption in the C1 district and at any location which has not received conditional use approval from the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Is there anyone to speak on these items? 42A, B, and alternate C. Seeing no one.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move item 42A and B.
Okay. Item 42A and B has been moved.
And appreciate all the work by the staff and P&Z on bringing this to resolution.
Seven yes.
Item 43 is on the Euclid Avenue intersection improvements at 11th Street. Resolution improving the plan, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and designating the lowest responsible bidder as Concrete Technologies, Inc. Brad Baumler, President, $237,313. Council Communication number 11-588. A is approving the contract and bond and permission to sublet. Anyone in the audience to speak on this item?
I'd like to comment on this. This is something that's been under study for a long period of time. We've had a number of accidents up there and also some deaths. And this is something that's going to be very much used by the school kids and that crossing Euclid up in Highland Park areas. I will move 43 and 43A.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Seven yes.
It's been moved to adjourn. Any comments from any of the audience or anyone else?
This might be a record.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We sit adjourned. For those who are interested, and we hope everyone is, there's an election tomorrow, and hopefully everybody will go to the polls. This is where our voices are heard, the school board election. Thank you all for attending.
Good night, Galen.
Thank you.